Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.
Good afternoon, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Political Command Center in the world. Thank you very much across the continents of the planet. Thank you very much in America, waking up or still in midnight or 4 a.m. there. Good afternoon. Good morning in South Africa. Good morning in London. It is just 11 o'clock. Something minutes past 11 o'clock in London, 2021, in 2:21 in Nairobi, 11:21 in London. It's GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, from Greenwich, the London borough of Greenwich. It is called near the dome, under the water, Thames. You know, the road passes under the water. So every time when I reach that place, first I start praying. Because anytime you can find a small dot of water dropping in, we are all gone. It is like going to Paris via the train underground, the tunnel, the Euro tunnel. If you find water has broken somewhere, do you come back? So for me, I pray to Jesus Christ, uko namaliza mambo imeisha, tujui tutarudi. Thank you very much, viewers. As we plan, God plans different way, but God is gracious. Dr. David Matsanga, you have been there for me, God, and you have actually given me, I don't know, you have given me the light. It's because I have that good heart. I've never had anybody. And you have given me a very good channel. You open channels all the time. When they think I am sunk, I wake up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening in Australia. Those watching us across these continents. Today, it is Africa Watch. Africa Watch is a new show. It's a new show. We have changed the format of these shows to allow people to understand, to interact with us, to talk to us, to avoid this normal traditional television where prompters are used for reading news. If you realize that some of the newspapers and television stations in Africa, in countries, have run bankrupt. They don't have what to say. I don't know how many of you, Daniel and Elif, how many of you would like to be part and parcel of your television in your country? I don't know. If the televisions in some of the countries don't renovate themselves, they have run out of content. So thank you very much, my team, for us to change the format, the discussions. This is Africa Watch, a show that brings in Africa, that talks about Africa, that discusses the seriousness of Africa. We watch across the Africa. Today's topic is very important. The French operations in Africa. Are they an obstacle Are they a challenge to the African sovereignty? Are they assimilating Africa? Are they causing chaos, conflicts? Are they putting fire on oil? Are they putting more oil on fire? Are they making sure that the conflicts don't end? We shall use that with the reference to the Congo conflict. As you know very well, a few days ago in Congo, something strange happened. And the people are turning on the same mediators who have come to help them all the time. Thank you very much, Miriam. Let's do good afternoon, Miriam Ogutu from Nairobi.
A very good afternoon to you, Doc, and good afternoon, good morning, good evening to our viewers.
Thank you very much. Take it away and do the house cleaning up to the British newspapers or up to the regional newspapers. I see quite a lot of activities in your country, Kenya, and I believe you will tell us more about some of the neighboring countries, the newspapers in Nigeria, elections approaching. What are the candidates going to? Why is it that all candidates go to Europe for validation? Why? Why do you want to go there? All of them are addressing Chatham House. So I was asking my director of political affairs of Chatham House, a great friend of mine, why do you bring these people? Then they said they pay money. Did you hear that? They pay money for us to host them. So, David, we get money on top of getting their ideas and on top of making sure that we take note of every word recorded, what they speak here. Are they going to cause trouble in our former colonies? Voila! Thank you very much, Miriam. Take it away. And welcome to the show, Daniel Wesonga and Elif Wesonga Wanda, historian, teacher. Good afternoon, Africa.
Okay, all right, very well. So the Sunday Standard from Kenya, rise of the A's, teachers tell of success secrets in spite of top schools bursting at the seams because of high student population. Senior tutors say they posted good results because of a change to the teaching process and self-belief. That is a special coverage from page 2 to 10 on the Sunday Standard. Back to Kamukunji, Raila says as DP rattles Azimio, opposition leader expected to address a rally in Nairobi after a whistleblower claimed the elections were rigged. But as he plans his rally, the deputy president is hosting Raila's coalition MPs in a move that has raised eyebrows. The story is on page 12 and 24 on the Sunday Standard. The Sunday Nation, the new champions. Move over Alliance, Pangani Girls, Mangu Starehe and Kenya High, and make room for the 2022 KCSE surprise top performance. The new stars do not come with a pedigree or name recognition of old giants, but their grades speak loud of their intention to turn tables on the Eastwell National Examination heavyweights. That full coverage from page 4 to 9 on the Sunday Nation. And then AG Muturi back sang in KPC Power Row, and Azimio back in the trenches. That is on page 22, 23, and 25. And then the Sunday Monitor from Uganda, how workers, MP split NSSF board, and the Sunday Vision as well from Uganda, government to close schools over fees increasement. The Nation from Nigeria, PDP suspensions, a battle line is drawn, Wike wants IU. The Guardian as well from Nigeria, why insecurity is still uncontrollable. The Daily News from Zimbabwe, analysts weigh in on polls catch 22. The Standard, polls Chamisa CCC's police crosswords. That is also from Zimbabwe. The Citizen from Tanzania, high risk. Games gain ground on city roads, and that is what we have on some of these newspapers from across the continent of Africa. Doc, back to you. Very well. So as we wait for Doc there, maybe I just go through quickly the papers from the UK. ask.
I am back here.
Okay.
Can I hammer them down?
Go ahead. Go
Yes.
right ahead.
Sorry about that. The newspapers from UK, thank you very much.
We can't
They
see
talk.
you. We can't.
Am
see.
I?
We can't
Are
see
you hearing?
We can hear you, but
Are
we
you-
can't. We can't see you. Your
Oh,
video.
oh. Thank you very much. The newspapers from UK. All right. Oh, here we are. The Telegraph, the Sunday Telegraph talks about refugees and the NHS at the heart of diverse coronation. Oh my God, we have a problem. The refugees and the National Health Service are at the heart of diverse coronation of the Conservative Party. So I don't know how they are. I was careless over tax affairs, says Zahawi. And then we have the independent side tax storm Tory chairman fights to save his job. Zahawi says Her Majesty Customs found he had been careless. He admits claims on the father's shares was rejected. Iko shida hapo. You know, Miriam, I told you uko Ulaya hata here. If you try to under tax yourself even by 10 pence, unaenda miaka 7. Because if you have not written a letter quickly that was fraud, wanakufunga. The Sunday Express says King wants coronation to bring joy. And I don't know what it meant. It meant by the king wants coronation to bring joy. I don't know. Have I lost?
We can get you.
You see me?
Yes.
Okay. It says the king wants coronation. You know, we have to coronate the king here. He just took over from the mother's death, and we have to coronate him now officially. So he wants it to be a good ceremony, not lavish ceremony where people spend a lot of money and then others are complaining in this. Charles hopes big weekend will lift and united the nation in tough. The coronation, everybody is going to take place. I will also be there. I am an ardent supporter of the kingdom because of the stability, because of the type that when they gave me education, I didn't have education. I had education, but not to the extent that I am able today to dissect the African situation. Okay, the Sunday Mirror, the Sun on Sunday say New Duke League of Move. I think there is a battle of where the coronation retreat things must be solved. Otherwise, Prince Andrew, who was actually convicted in a New York court, is coming back, trying to say he also wants to be part and a parcel of the coronation. But the Queen sidelined him, and I think removed some credentials, titles from him. So we don't know. The kingdom is in the turmoil. Wait. The Sunday Mirror talks about Harris spun a tail over tailspin. I mean, it is a fight. His flight instructor said cockpit heroics dramatized for effect. He was only dramatizing most of these things. This younger man is becoming crazy at a time when people are not happy with the prices, the life, and so on and so forth. Thank you very much, viewers. That is exactly what is coming from London. anything that you have picked from this story for Africa Watch, Miriam, anybody, Daniel, where has gone Elif Wanda has disappeared. Maybe he's going for his match of Chelsea. But anything that you have picked from this story, Miriam, any comment?
Not really. Yeah, I think...
Anybody who has got a comment on this story can come in. Daniel, do you have any comment to tell us on this story? Please. Any story in the papers, apart from the Kenyan papers, which you know already? Any comment?
Thank you, Dr. Matsanga David. And for me, it is just maybe to comment on the British monarchy. I think I am in the same boat with you that they have maintained stability over the years. And actually, it is one of the most successful and the only surviving monarchy across the globe that has not been bedeviled by the tumultuous time that we've been seeing ripping away and sweeping away the monarchies of the world. So I believe maybe there's something extraordinary in them over generations and years that they have been in the helm of the leadership of the UK. But most importantly, it is how they've been able to balance between the democratic states and the monarchical way of doing things. And I bet maybe if Africans, as I've been listening through, I just had a thought, if Africa was also allowed to be able to incorporate our ways of governing ourselves the way we had in the ancient times, perhaps with the way maybe other Western powers and the other countries of the globe would have wanted us to do our things, perhaps it would have given us, a better blend in terms of the system of governance. So to me, I think we as Africans should not be so quick to move away from our traditional ways of running our systems of governance. We should look at the UK, the way they do their things, the way they balance their power through democracy and the monarchical ways of governance, and be able to just have a very, very stable system of governance. Therefore, no one should actually force this democracy, full democracy, to Africans just out of the oblivion. We should actually also be able to look out and see whether our older systems of government can actually be to form a hybrid system of leadership. I submit.
Mm-hmm. And I think you've made very great points there, Daniel, until you said Africa should be allowed. Why are we seeking for permission? If Africa wants to go back and experiment or experience with something else, then I think that is something that we can do as sovereign countries. We don't need anybody's permission, but I guess we want to fit in with the rest of what everybody else is doing in the world, but we don't need anybody's permission for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you very much, Miriam. Again, you are not seeing me, but here I am. I think time has come for Africa to think. Time has come for Africa to rethink. Mm. Do we really need insecurity? Do we really need conflict? Do we want to fight? Do we want to continue to have Congo dismembered? Do we need to have a country undermining? The peace process in Ethiopia went very well. But look at the peace process in DRC Congo. Miriam, time and time again, these rebels have been called into Kenya to sit down and iron out their differences. But someone does not feel well to see Africa sorting its mess. Mm. And therefore this someone goes back and tries to tell some sections of Congolese that your country has been mortgaged, your country has been sold. This is what kills Africa. And for me, I will support a peace process in Africa everywhere. That's why I need this job of African Union. I would be there already. I would have told this country to shut out, because we need peace in Congo. Why should a superpower in Europe bring its nose to kill the peace process in the DRC Congo? We allowed this superpower to destroy the process in Congo, in Libya, It killed Libya. Look at Libya today. Are we going to keep quiet as Africans? How long shall we take to be mourning and lamenting? We have seen an example at the doorstep. Libya was doing very well. Where are the nuclear weapons that they told us Muhammad Gaddafi had them? Who kept them after he was destroyed? Haki ya Mungu nimwambie leo. Niulize nyenye. You Kenyans. You are Kenyans. Tell me, where are the nuclear weapons? Who stored them? When Muhammad Gaddafi was dismantled, did we pick them and take them somewhere? Have we kept them somewhere? Can some America or Russia or France tell us, did they get the nuclear weapon? Did they get any nuclear weapon in Libya? Give us the details. Accountability, public participation. I am the Omtata of international community. I want to ask this question on behalf of the Silent, together with my group called Witness Africa, a British organization. We can sue you anywhere. Like now, we have taken Mr. Buhari to court. Yes, he finishes. He better stays very far from any hospital near United Kingdom, because as he stepped there, kwisha atakuwa na pingo kwa kitanda. That is the only way to deal with these African dictators, because they mess lives. But this now, as we want to deal with these guys, let's start dealing with the country that is messing our lives. Allah, Miriam. The country messing lives, most lives, 3/4 of Africa is called France. Let's see the French operations on the continent of Africa. Bring us a background, Madame Miriam from Nairobi.
Very well, thank you so much. Now, Francafrique is France's sphere of influence, otherwise known in France as Pré Carré, which means backyard, so backhanded influence that France has been having in the continent. That is what Francafrique means, over former French and Belgian colonies in sub-Saharan Africa. The term was derived from the expression of France Afrique, which was used by the first president of Ivory Coast, Félix Hubert, in 1955 to describe his country's close ties with France. It was later pejoratively renamed Francafrique by François Xavier in 1998 to criticize the alleged corrupt and clandestine activities of various Franco-African political, economic and military networks, also defined as France's neo-colonialism. Following the accession to independence of its African colonies beginning in 1959, France continued to maintain a sphere of influence over the new countries, which was critical to the then President Charles de Gaulle's vision of France as a global power and as a bulwark to British and American influence in the post-colonial world. The United States supported France's continuing presence in Africa to prevent the region from falling under Soviet influence during the Cold War. France kept close political, economic, military and cultural ties with its former African colonies that were multi-layered, involving institutional, semi-institutional and informal levels. Now, Francafrique has been characterized by several features that emerged during the Cold War, the first of which was the African Cell, a group that comprised the French president and his close advisors who made policy decisions on Africa. They made policy decisions on Africa from France, often in close collaboration with powerful business networks and the French Secret Service. Not a head of state from Africa, but they will make decisions about these countries from Africa. Very interesting. Now, another feature was that the franc zone, a currency union that pegged the currencies of most Francophone African countries to the French franc, was also based in large part on the concept of cooperation, which was implemented through a series of cooperation accords that allowed France to establish close political, economic, military, and cultural ties with its former colonies. France also saw itself as a guarantor of stability instability in the region and therefore adopted an interventionist policy in Africa, resulting in military interventions that averaged once a year from 1960 to the mid-90s and has continued. And finally, a feature of this Francafrique were the personal networks that underpinned the informal family-like relationships between French and African leaders. And we see how that plays out. After their retirement, they go and live in France. Some of them die there and things like that. Now, these networks often they lack oversight and scrutiny, which have led to a lot of corruption and state racketeering, among other abuses that has been witnessed through the leaders in the Francophone countries that France has supported. So just a bit of a background there. You're muted.
Thank you very much, viewers across the continents of the world. First of all, I would like to thank for the analysis and the short points that Miriam has said. You can, from the scope of things, the way things look like, you know very well that the relationship between France and the former colonies has been deteriorating day in, day out. Apart from places where France still maintains a grip forcefully, like a Central African Republic, France is maintaining the grip forcefully. Like in Cameroon, France is maintaining the grip forcefully. Like in Chad, France is maintaining the grip forcefully. The killing of General Idriss Déby Idris and the installation of the father of the son after slaughter, senseless murder of the president of Chad still haunts my brain, because I don't know why African Union could not resist suspending Chad completely out of, let me ask you one thing. Why do you, for example, why do you suspend Sudan, Khartoum, and you allow Chad? Both of them should be suspended if you are really playing for a better African Union. But Mr. Muhammad Faki has not suspended Chad because that is his country where he comes from. And he has gone to suspend Sudan. You see? These are some glaring facts that we in Africa must challenge. Newspapers, televisions in Africa, in Uganda, and Kenya, they don't challenge these type of things. We have very, very biased African Union that is working in the interests of the French. The French told them not to suspend Chad from the African Union. This boy just killed his father, or connived to kill the father, took over power, and Mr. Muhammad Faki kept quiet. A whole president who was elected by people. I hate people who use violence to come to power. I hate people who go to overthrow governments to come to power. I hate is an African notion that we are creating. It is better to have a king and you have a working democracy like Britain. There is a king who does not interfere with the affairs of what Mr. Rishi, the Indian Prime Minister, a friend of mine, friend of ours in East Africa does. He has to go and tell him, I am doing my things. But the coronation, the king in this country, Britain, does not interfere with what you want. If you want to suspend yourself from United Nations, and you feel you are the Prime Minister, you want to move a motion and say, Britain is going to go out of United Nations, the king will not stop you. The king will only ask, why are you leaving? Then you say, we are leaving because we are paying a lot of money for some corrupt men in Africa to eat. Wanda, why are you shaking, scratching your head? Something has entered your brain. Yes. Britain pays for corrupt people to enjoy money. The UN is a club of of perfumes. Every UN official you find is in a perfume mood. Go to Girigiri, your place in Kenya there. Miriam, you have ever gone to near their place there? Go and sit in their canteen. They even have a special canteen. They don't want to know you. They sit down and arrange how they are going to destabilize a country. And you are finished. That's why I did not recognize the ICC, International Criminal Court. Rubbish. 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 Can I call it again? Rubbish. Stupid. It is not a court. It is a club of perfume organized men who sit down somewhere and they elect the chief prosecutor who comes to hand Africans, carry them and deliver them because they're Africans. Why don't we go and look for Mr. Tony Blair, who told us that he had a document, a sexed document, doctored document, sexed. In fact, the language they used is sexed. It was sexed. Hello? A whole prime minister comes to say, I am sorry. The document was the thesis of a student called Masanga, who was studying political science in the University of Canterbury in Kent, and I removed the thesis and I used it to go and bomb Iraq. Today I am in the mood because I am in the mood, surely. Today, kama unasimama mbele yangu, takumaliza. Sikia, a whole former prime minister of a country gets a fake document and uses that fake document to go and bomb another country. And then he comes to walk around Africa that I have a consultancy looking for consultancy job. And you have our people we've elected with good suits standing to a man who has destroyed another third world country. Jameni, muamukeni, 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 muamukeni wenye Africa, wake up. I'm not PLO Lumumba who talks and disappears. Muamukeni, I'm on the subject. Every day I will remind Africans, muamukeni, twende kazi. Tukomboe Afrika yetu. Afrika yetu iko chini ya wabeberu. Wanataka kutumaliza Afrika yetu. Wanataka kutuletea mavurugano kila siku. Mavurugano ambayo iko Afrika leo. Mavurugano hii inatoka wapi? Hii mavurugano si yetu. Hii mavurugano ya hao watu. I'm speaking like Nyerere. You know, very good leaders have this type of voices, if you did not know. Look at the voice. Miriam, that is where you should be thinking of your leader, future leader. Hii voice hii hapana ya bure. Hii voice iko ya Mungu. Matthew chapter 10 verse 14 inasema, ondoka uende zako, usiwawachie kitu, lakini enda zako. Toa hata hiyo uvivi. What is it called? Dusty one dog is called what? Teach me this. Uvumbi. Toa uvumbi uende nayo. Vumbi usiwawachie vumbi. Wenda na vumbi. Sababu wasikie. Afrika musikie, msikilize mimi. Nawaambia kila siku, Nyerere ameenda, Obote anaenda, Jomo Kenyatta ameenda, Mashera anaenda, Lumumba ameenda, Mandela ameenda, Mugabe ameenda, Benabera ameenda, Sekou Touré ameenda, Amir Kabiro, wameenda, lakini nani atawaambia nyenye Afrika? Mniambie leo, mnaambie leo, let this step come out. Let my production team in Nairobi cut this step ya Kiswahili. Mniambie leo yenye Afrika, mnaenda wapi nyenye? Kila siku mnaleta mavurugano kwa nchi hizi za Afrika. Mnataka mavurugano, kupigana. Sisi tuko na kila kitu Afrika hapa. Kwa nini tunapigana kila siku? Kwa nini tunapishana kila siku? Kwa nini tunapishana kila siku? Tunapishana kila siku sababu because iko shida kwa siasa zetu. Tujaribu kugeuza siasa zetu. Tukuwe na siasa mzuri. Tukuwe na siasa ambayo inafikiria wananchi. Tukuwe na siasa ambayo inakuwa na watu na ile politeness. Tukuwe na siasa ambayo inakuwa na forgiveness. Waafrika sisi tuko na siasa mbaya. Unaona Afrika huko wa Kongo wanaleta siasa zao mbaya za mavurugano. Wanataka kuvuruga kila mtu. Unataka mediator, mnamvuruga. Mnamvuruga kwa nini? Alikuja kuwasaidia. Kama mtaki, mnataka kupigana mpaka mpigane mfike kwa Mungu, watu watawacha. Lakini sisi tuwezi kuwacha barabara ile ambayo inaleta amani. Tunataka amani kwa nchi zetu za Afrika. Tuko na mambo mengi sana. Watu wetu, watu wa raia wanataka maendeleo. Watu wa raia wanataka kukula chakula mzuri. Wanataka maisha mzuri. Wanataka dawa zikuwe kwa hospitali. Tutapata wapi dawa kwa hospitali kama tunanunua bunduki za kupigana? Mniambie leo. Kwa nini mimi nazungumza hapa Kiingereza kila siku? Watu wengine wasikie Kiingereza. Wenye wasikie Kiingereza shauri yao. Lakini kutoka leo tutazungumzanga Kiswahili hapa. Tutajaribu. Nimeshajaribu. Nimeshaambia watu tutakufia Afrika. Itapigania Afrika. Itaonesha Afrika namna tutaenda. Nchi hizi zote za Afrika iko na mavurugano. Kwa nini mavurugano inatokea wapi? Nchi moja pekee ya Afrika ndiyo ambayo ina mavurugano mengi, ambayo wale prisoners of politics, political prisoners, ndiyo Kenya. Kama unatembea Kenya uwezi kupata political prisoner. Mtu ule aliingizwa kwa gerezani kama ako na siasa, juu ya siasa. Nchi zote za Afrika apart from Kenya, South Africa, Ghana and some few countries in Africa. Those are few countries. Tanzania hakuna mtu wa siasa mwenye anafungwa juu ya siasa. Tunataka namna hivyo. Lakini nchi zote ngine zinabaki. South Sudan iko na political prisoners. Journalists are being detained. When you yourself you have made a mistake, then you detain the journalist. Mnaona hiyo mambo hiyo ya Afrika. So what about the journalist who saw in Russia? Have you detained him? No, tuzungumize hapo. Miriam, unaona shida zetu. Shida za Afrika ndio hizo. Tunakubali wabeberu wakuje hata sasa hivi watudanganye sisi wanatupenda, lakini kama muda inafika wapendi sisi. Umeona hiyo? Wapendi sisi, wanatuachia tabu. Wanatuachia wanawinchi wetu wanapata adabu sana kubwa wanapata shida kubwa sana, hakuna maendeleo yote. Angalia nchi zote za Afrika sasa, angalia Central African Republic, maendeleo gani inaweza enda kwa Central African Republic? Niambie kwa ukweli. Wacha niwaambie France, the French are supporting Bozize. Wacha niambie hii latest. Pale huko Northern Congo, Bozize, which is Southern Central African Republic, Bozize has an army. Sisi wa Afrika tuna aibu. Tunazungumizia wenzi yetu, tunasema mambo mzuri kwa public rally, lakini tunafanya vitendo ambayo inaharibu Afrika. Nani mwenye anampatia Bozize bunduki ya kuenda kumaliza askari serikali ya Central African Republic? Who is arming former President Bozize? Analyze it. Analyze it. I leave it to you. Miriam is an expert of that friend. Where is Bozize getting the guns? Who is supplying Bozize? Who is supplying the guns of 3,000 rebels wenye wako chini Libya kusini? Libya kusini wanamgambo 3,000 wako na silaha za kumaliza 3 countries. They can even come overtake Chad. Sasa tunaenda Doha. Qatar inakuja inasema halala, mkuje sisi tutawapatia pesa, mkuje mkule hapa chai na nini mkunywe na rice and sheep meat, sheep mutton, mkule mutton. Huko wapi? Umesikia? This is what we want to address as wa Africa. Shida gani? Kwa nini tunapigana kila siku? Why are we fighting every day? Why is there a fight in Africa? Why don't we learn to, if we don't want elections, why do you go to elections? I am asking serious question. If you don't want the elections, you know the elections are going to be rigged. Toka, kaa nyumbani. You know there is one thing I like about Nigerians. And I'm going to land my mic. I am landing my mic. Leo ni mimi sikunywe pombe. Miriam usifikiri mekunya leo sikunywe pombe mimi. Miaka 4 sishike pombe. Kwa hivyo mambo yangu inatoka kwa roho na kichwa yangu na siasa yangu ile nilisoma. Niko nayo. Let me ask you a very nice question. Nigeria has registered 93 million voters. 71 million younger generation between 18 and 39, or let's say 45 years. 71 million. Do you know why? Can I tell you what is going to be very interesting? That out of that, only 20 million will vote. And the 70 million will sit at home. 24th February, isn't it, Miriam? Siku hiyo, ask Dr. Matanga, call him to come back here. I will be, I'm around. God will keep me to see Buhari go home and then go and arrange his papers. If Buhari, you don't check the doctor in Saudi Arabia, usikanyage London. Usikanyage London. Then, you know that is the only thing we are going to deal with some of these guys. Atakuhusia we huko, we chunga hapo pande sambo. Chunga hapo, weka hapa makaratasi. Anakuja na ndege, unashika ndege. Ndege hakuna kutoka kwa kiwanja, uko na deni yangu. So, life is becoming more global. When you treat people badly in Africa, ask Mr. Paul Biya whether he steps in London. Any president listening to me, ask Paul Biya. If you think Matanga talk, ask Paul Biya. Ana karatasi ziko, ako nazo, hawezi ndege. Kama ndege nasema it is diverted to Gatwick. Wala wakiba. Tutamshika. Wata knock on the door. Open the door. That's the treatment we want to take some of these ugly guys who don't know where they are in a conference. Because they are backed by the French hegemony. French operations in Africa are very detrimental. Mozambique was not bleeding. Total Oil took bleeding in Mozambique. You want Matanga to be happy? Yeah, Jamani. Yeah. No. Sorry. What do I want in France? What? Their passport is as cheap as toilet paper. Yes. Because people who kill people, who aim to kill people, who came to cause chaos in Congo, you want me to tell them their passport is great? Shut up. What? Fuck. Just forget it. I'm not happy today. Why do you undermine a process in Congo by telling a certain section of Congolese to rise against Uhuru Kenyatta and the Kenyan peacekeeping force? Who are you? You want Matanga to keep quiet? I spoke against Ocampo alone. I am going to spearhead this one single-handedly and bring them down. What will they do? What? Didn't I finish Ocampo? Can Ocampo fly on a flight laughing? And when he sees Matanga, he could jump through the window. Because he went to the FIFA and started stealing there with the FIFA chairman. Didn't the FIFA chairman lose his job? He was going to jail. I told you Ocampo was a thief. People in Kenya, they never agreed. Some of them are very annoyed with Matanga. Take my tape and tell them, you, Nyenye, this is the Ugandan who stood up and talked on your behalf. On your behalf. Nobody wanted you. There you say you hate me. Allah. Mimi, I sacrificed, I lost my job in Sky News. Miriam, haven't you seen the tapes there, madam? Madam, you are busy. Just confirm, maybe they say I talk nonsense. Don't you see the Sky News hours? 842 hours that I spend in Sky News. They are there with you. Some can give you a copy, show them. Didn't I lost my job. What have I got? You call me every time you see me, you laugh me. You continue laughing me. But I've moved on. Africa needs to open up. The French were the people who wanted to jail people. They want to jail people here in Africa. But ask them one question. Who is giving Bozize guns to fight Central African Republic? Who is giving the rebels in South Libya to overthrow government of Chad and to come and cause insecurity in other places of Africa? Who is arming General Khalifa Haftar? I'm bringing you as I landed the mic. Otherwise, if you don't stop me, I'm going to talk for 2 hours. I'm a senior lecturer. By the way, you know that. My students by now would have gone wild. They would be looking for frogmen. They would have gone wild, Miriam. We came and dismantled Libya. A good territory, a good country. We said they were weapons of mass destruction. Show us the weapons. Yeah. Show us the weapons. Show us the weapons. Someone interestingly has sent a message here and said, well, show us the weapons. Someone has just sent me a message and said, what did you eat today? I ate these bananas behind me. Show us the weapons. You said, Mr. Gaddafi, under Resolution 1970 of the United Nations Security Council, had weapons of mass destruction. Where are they? Where did you keep them? Why are they not destroying you? Do you have an underground to keep a weapon of nuclear? Where? You must register it with UN. Isn't it, Miriam? Where is it? Where is it? You kill Africa, you destroy Africa, you don't want us to have peace. You want peace to be where? Insecurity to be in the Democratic Republic of Congo. You don't want East African mediation people to mediate it and bring a conclusion. You hate, you create a xenophobia against other people whom you claim are coming to your country. Is it your country? How did you know? Were you in Berlin? Were you in Berlin when it was being divided? Or you just found yourself in a border where a river you can't cross? They said, that river, that is where your country stops. That Rwanda, the name Rwanda, where does it come from? You dig Rwanda. Dig Rwanda's name. You will find Rwanda is from Bududa. Obugobero, Obutiru, Obumbo, Obwabwala, Omalikisi. Eh? You dig and see. Is there a difference between Rwanda and Matanga? No. The only difference is that Rwanda is Manchester United, Matanga is Liverpool. That's it. And the Liverpool is the only group that allowed a black man to play football there. I wish you knew what you are wearing, that t-shirt. You would even throw it away. Because in Manchester, you would be asked, have you just come from the jungle? Someone will come to your ear and whistle when you are having your food in a restaurant. And then you say, what is happening? Oh, how was the jungle? I have a story for another day. And I challenged Miriam last year, the whole years, to create a social Africa. And she interviewed me. She doesn't want to do that. You would be having a clip of the year. How I took off a shirt in Manchester, a pub, and I removed it, gave it to a Mzungu, who was saying, this kitenge is so nice. I said, you want it? I removed it. Said, take it. Police came, said, the owner of the club said, no, this guy came and attacked this black guy. Yeah. I've fought battles. My friends who had come, we used to do deliveries. In 88, 89, deliveries. And we were doing deliveries up to Manchester, Birmingham. We are doing very good deliveries. And then all of a sudden, someone comes. I had stopped to have a drink, just a small drink, not of course alcohol, that could bring me chaos. And have some meat, some good meat, beef. Then this man comes to say, whistle in my ears, because I'm wearing a kitenge from Africa, from Kenya. Actually, I got that kitenge from Kenya. Mjamaa anakuja anasema, it means a bird from the jungle. I don't know whether Mr. Daniel knows that. So, ladies and gentlemen, the French, as I conclude, the chaos on the planet, the chaos on the continent of Africa. I am not against the French people. Whenever we find each other, they have no problem. But I'm against the French foreign policy that brings chaos to Africa, that collects the taxes from Africa and takes the taxes to Paris, then divides that tax back to African people to divide themselves, to open up a playground, then steal our players' Bampe. Is it Pumpe Pumpe or Pampe Pampe? What is the player's name again? Some people, this thing on here we are supporting. You know why? Shame on you. If you know you are supporting Bampe Pampe, wonder why are you not talking? Did you not support Bampe Pampe? I was with Messi. Daniel Wesonga, Bampe. Miriam is not a footballer, she was not concerned. But there are some Africans, when they saw so many of the blacks playing for the French team, they started hallucinations. And yes, we support France. How do you support the people who have taken your money, which could build a stadium, and taken it to Paris, then made Burkina Faso poor, made Togo poor, made Cameroon poor, and the Cameroon lived with a dictator who is 89 years old, who goes on farting in public places. A head of state farting in a public place because he's still holding. He doesn't know where he is. The video will caught him farting in French. Let's put it on here for the public to see. Is that an African head of state who farts in public? It's an abomination to your own country that you are representing, that you are farting in front of other people, and million people watching you. Kumbe, you don't know. Why don't you go and fart in your house in retirement? Africa. French policy, French operations. The last point that I want to touch is the point of Mozambique that pains me and Miriam. For a long time, we saw this coming. About 2015, after the AU botched elections of Amina Mohammed of Kenya versus Mahamat Faki, I took a private investigative route into the French operations in Africa. There was a woman in charge of Total Oil based in Uganda. She was playing between Kigali, Kampala, rallying the heads of state of those countries. I don't want to go into other details that are not very good on this telephone, on this public television. But she lulled Africa. She lulled those people. She was the chairperson of Total Oil Africa. And I want to ask President Museveni today, my elder, we all fought Idi Amin. You and I was young, you are the commander. You commanded us so well until we reached Chikagati. We split into two groups. You went Chikagati way via, and you entered the southern part of Uganda. The Chikosi Maalum 208 KJ, led by General David Muzuguri, and other soldiers like Black Mamba, Lady Miriam. Don't ask me about my daughter. Lady Miriam, who's commander today in Tanzania, came through the eastern flank, through Kampala, Chinja, Mbale, and went chasing Idi Amin soldiers until we wiped them out. All along, we did this for the good of our country, Uganda. That is stable. It has had upheavals, but Uganda today is stable. The stability of Uganda cannot be matched by anything else. You can only match it with, there is stability, but there is deficit of democracy, which Ugandans can themselves sort. The deficit of democracy is to elect the people whom you like, not the people who have given you the money. And any person in Uganda is allowed to stand as long as he's a Ugandan, is entitled. As I speak right now, Museveni's son is in my district addressing, a few hours ago, minutes, is addressing a rally. And my people are filming everything. Whatever he's doing, is addressing in my own district, Mbale. Look, why did we, Your Excellency, give the French a contract when you knew very well there was due diligence, which some of us had said they don't like? They left the LAP state. The LAPSET pipeline, which could have been one of the landmarks of bringing oil from South Sudan and Malindi, the Albertine region, the northern parts of our countries will be facilitated with infrastructure. Mr. President, all of you presidents of East Africa, watch this. The French withdrew from the LAPSET and collapsed our dream of redeveloping the northern parts of our countries. Because they knew once we do that, Turkana will be well, Lochiga will be very well, Karamoja will be very well, these people will be developed. So don't give them money for the LAPSET. Let's learn lessons from that. Then now, lastly, we are now canceling this contract we have given to Americans who have given us promissory notes. Or we are doing a proposal. The French are not happy with that. So why are they touching us? They are touching us in DRC Congo. Miriam, look here, you're a student of international relations. Since you have cancelled their pipeline dream, they will say, okay, we shall frustrate you. Isn't it you people who want a mediator from Kenya? Let's frustrate this mediator. Let's buy some hooligans. And they go to the national, their TikTok. Is it called TikTok? By the way, next week I'm creating my TikTok. Iyo itakuwa moto. So be prepared. You touch Africa, TikTok is on you. I'll be there. Now, Miriam, listen to me. What they are doing now is they frustrate the efforts of East African community because they have lost out everything in East Africa. They don't have the pipeline from Tanga to Mwanza in Tanzania. Magufuli canceled it. The Americans have taken theirs because they have pulled out. George Soros Bank pulled out. The bank that signed the money to do the Uganda pipeline is George Soros Bank. I don't know why presidents in Africa don't hire people who are knowledgeable. Some boys just go in their hotels and eat everything, buy perfumes, lie. They sleep in. Miriam, hello, sir. I have found out it is a very good bank. No way. If President Museveni gave me the duty to find a good bank in Paris, I would bring him a decent report to say don't allow that company to sign a contract with you, because the banks are supported by a fugitive called George Soros, who stole the Russian money and banked it in Paris and created the Ukrainian war. Miriam, did you know that? You're a student of international relations. Mark that today. Ladies and gentlemen, mark that. Why is it that Russia started by hitting banks only? You know, the buildings, the tomahawks, the Russian missiles went for banks, and they decapitated everything called a banking institution. Who created the Orange Revolution in Ukraine? Miriam, do you know? George Soros. The Orange Revolution, who created the banks, the economy of Ukraine? It's George Soros. Who took their money? Who took McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Kingfisher, King Burger, KFC, what else? Walmart in Moscow. George Soros. What did George Soros do to the Russians? Then you want to call African countries to go and help you? Sort the problem with the guy. George Soros is funding chaos in Africa. Is funding Chamisa to remove Emerson Mnangagwa. Is funding Kahama to fight Masisi. Is funding niseme nini hapo tena? So many people are being funded by George Soros' money. If you disagree with him, he overthrows you. It's like the French. So I landed the mic by saying the French operations in Africa have created more danger, more chaos, more conflicts, more retrogressive policies, more dangerous enclaves of no future at all. We don't have a future in French colonies. I saw something about the military in Mali. Miriam, what have they done again? I think, have they overthrown another government, or they are trying to overthrow? Yeah, we still have a lot of coups. This year alone, there are about 3 to 4 major coups going to take place on the continent of Africa. And out of that, 3 will be French. 1 will be African. Anglo-African. I'm telling you, listen, watch my lips. 9 countries. Wesonga, you are document this. Utaona. Senegal entered Gambia. Gambia's army, there is no army in Gambia at all. It is Senegalese who are French, isn't it? Senegal occupies where Yaya Jammeh was a leader. The Senegalese troops are occupying Gambia. Tell me where the coup would have come from. I rest my case. I rest my case. Allah! I rest my case. I hand it over to Miriam in Nairobi. Thank you very much. That is Dr. David Matsanga live from the Kiswahili mixture with the English Africa Watch. Live today, 22nd of January, 2023, the year of our Lord. May God come and raise the flag of Africa. That Africa It's only the only continent that has everything, but lacks everything. Thank you. I landed the mic.
Very well, thank you. Wanda Wesonga.
Yes, Miriam.
Yeah, I know you've been listening, so your thoughts on this subject that we're having today.
Yeah. In fact, I never knew Dr. Masanga can speak such fluent Swahili. And for those that have had a chance of listening to the late Julius Nyerere, will tell you Dr. David Masanga must have been a very good supporter of Nyerere, because the tone and the style, it was 100% of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere.
And Miriam is not laughing at all because he knows my Swahili is very broken. But
today you spoke some nice Swahili. As one in that line, I can say that your Swahili was so good. But I felt like we make it a Swahili session. But I'm sure Miriam atanichapa nikisema tuzungumze Kiswahili mwanzo hadi mwisho.
Sawa, lakini tukuenga namna hivyo William, usikuwe kwa Kiingereza paka. Sunday, let it be a relaxing day. Tuna mix na Kiswahili, watu wetu wale wazalendo wenye wako nyumbani, wale mahasola zote, wale Afrika mzima, tuko na mahasola.
Yeah, but we have to be considerate of our viewers, who a lot of them are watching us and are not from East Africa. That is why I'm mindful of that.
Lakini Afrika sasa Kiswahili is the official language worldwide by UNESCO.
Yeah, they're just starting to teach it in South Africa and other countries.
Yes, let
until they
them be taught. Let them be taught by Dr. Masanga. Yangu ndio hiyo.
Yeah.
Asante. Wanda, I've spoken enough. Take them, continue. Sorry, Miriam, lakini ndio hivyo. Hivyo itakuanga namna hivyo paka mwisho. Asante.
Asante sana. Now, when I look into the West Africa, or a number of the French role in Africa, then you trace it back into the policy of assimilation and the time when Africa was finally liberated from the colonial regime. I've always believed that not all European powers were ready to let go of their colonies. And France is one of those countries that was somehow pushed to let go of their colonies. Because you look into the involvement of France in Africa, it never stopped from that period or from that time, point in time when Africa was liberated, up to today. That right now, the Burkina Faso regime is giving the French military in their territories. Therefore, it still tells of a power that is the French, who still believes that their responsibility, and I'm very happy that we are having a new crop of Africans that are not taking it lightly. They are not ready to listen to them. Where these guys are seated feels like the colonization ended and that era was closed. Just that chapter was closed. We are in a new chapter. We are charting a new way. This is we don't want to dwell in the history. We are crafting a new direction, and you either work with us, or if you're not ready to work with us, you feel like you will boss us, you will bull us around, we are not going to take it. But it is very true that the French have had an impact which is negative for so many years. That it goes with now, it goes with no any a contradiction or any doubts, or probably trying to look into it if it's true or not true, that any other place the French colonized Africa, we have always had challenges in such territories. And when you even look at what is happening in Cameroon, the Anglo versus the Francophone, in most cases, the Franco part is the one that normally brings in issues. It never comes in most cases from the Anglo part. And when you look into the other Anglo nations in Africa, in as much as they could be having their own challenges, but the level of democracy in the Anglo territories are a bit different as compared to the Francophone territories. Therefore, we the Africans are supposed to wake up, and I'm happy that probably we are now getting to a realization that we are the only person that are supposed to craft the solutions to what is ailing us. Although we have some person that are still leaning to the sides of the colonial powers, the French and others, but let the majority now of us, even if the majority might not be the very majority that you want in terms of numbers, but the few persons can stand the ground and start promoting the real Pan-Africanism. That let the Macron or let the French, let the British, if they are there, let America, if they are there, come to, we sound or we raise the voice so that they now get to learn that this new generation of Africans can only sit down and negotiate, but you cannot push them around. I know the journey is not easy because the boss who has money and all their ways, if the will is not there, that they are willing to see Africa grow, then they'll always want to manipulate. But we can still raise the voice, educate our persons, and probably take them the Mahatma Gandhi way. That Mahatma Gandhi, in his humbleness as an individual, Mahatma Gandhi didn't buy the ideology that the few minority that were in their country were entitled to mistreating, overworking the Indians in India. In as much as the majority did not buy into the ideologies of Mahatma Gandhi at once, but Mahatma Gandhi did not just let it go. He didn't surrender. Mahatma Gandhi decided to teach 1, 2, 3, then the number grew. Then finally, India was liberated. Today, India is one of the powerful countries in the world. Therefore, we can be 1, 2, 3, 4, but we'll finally go the Mahatma Gandhi way and liberate the continent. Miriam.
Mm-hmm. Very well, thank you. Daniel, I know you've been listening.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And of course, I'm of the same opinion as Dr. Matsanga and my good brother, Wanda Wesonga, that when you read about France in Africa, it all brings about memories of chaos, memories of anarchy, memories of interference and interruption in the way Africa would have developed since immediately after our independence. You know, as Wanda has put it precisely, that France never moved on, you know, when the Francophone African countries actually gained their independence. And that drew me back to the day when Guinea under Ahmed Sékou Touré announced that it was going to gain its independence and it was going to cut ties with France. What France did is something that still actually brings back memories of the French hegemony in Africa. You know, they went around destroying facilities, infrastructure, and they could even, they took away even the smallest thing in terms of development that they have done they had done in Guinea, you know, stealing away light bulbs in offices, destroying furniture and all that. And that shows you the kind of anger that France had towards African countries that had refused to lie flat under the hegemony of the French. And therefore, Miriam, when in the introduction you talked about Francafrique, what I always read about Francafrique is a decoy, you know, an outfit that was brought up by the French after the independence of many Francophone African countries to be there to be able to cater for the interest of the French in mostly West and Central Africa. And therefore, to say that the French actually gave the sovereignty to the West African countries and the Central African countries would be something out of sheer imagination, because the French, unlike many other colonizers, never left the Francophone African countries to be able to manage their own affairs. That is why you see Cameroon being run the way it is being run today. That is why you see Central African Republic being under the mercy of the French mercenaries. That is why you see Guinea being in the state that it is today, because the French never allowed these Francophone African countries to be able to develop and be able to realize proper leadership structures that could embolden the countries to stand by themselves and be able to develop their infrastructure and economies. Congo is where it is today because the French had an interest in DRC. Dr. Matsanga has always talked about France having the biggest gold reserves in Paris, whereas we know too well that it does not have these deposits. Then that begs the question, where does France get all these minerals that are in Paris? And Miriam, it is a matter of fact that many cities in the West were actually built by the blood and the sweat of the African people. And no any specific country, Western country, has stolen from Africa more than France. Today, you continue seeing countries that even export oil or which have oil resources going into chaos simply because Total France wants to set shop in these countries. We've seen whatever is happening in Mozambique. We've seen whatever is happening in DRC Congo. We've seen whatever is happening in Central Africa Republic. We've seen what is happening in Chad. We've seen what has been happening even in Northern Africa, Miriam. So to me, I believe France never gave the real independence to these formerly French colonies in Africa. And that is why today France continues to actually support dissidents across these countries to ensure that there is no stability, we have no proper leadership structures, and this is majorly done through subversive intelligence networks. It is done also through financing of terror activities in terms of rebel groups, and even in some African countries, we've seen mercenaries from France who come to these countries to be able to train local militias and therefore launching attacks against legitimate governments. And in some instances, these legitimate governments have been overthrown. And France has been on the forefront actually celebrating these illegitimate militia leaders that seize power through crooked ways. And that tells you, Miriam, that France is only in Africa for their own selfish interests. The principle of assimilation really was actually to work for their own benefit, making someone feel much safer before you rob him or her. Because when you hear about the talk of leaders like Leopold Sédar Senghor, he was talking about, France being his own country, Paris being his own city, and President Hollande being like his father. Whereas, Ivory Coast and Senegal actually was going into poverty. And this is because much of the resources of the country were going to France to build the French cities, whereas the Africans were neglected by France and the leadership on the ground because of their own sycophancy to the former colonizer. And therefore, Miriam, when you look at all Western powers, you realize that France is the only Western power which is 90% majorly driven by their own selfish interests. And they do not stop at anything until their interests are fulfilled. And in many African countries which were formerly their colonies, they will even support subversive missions in order to wipe out leaders that do not actually agree to their ideology of these neocolonial tendencies, rather, Miriam. And that is why when you look even at the countries like Guinea, people are tired of this French influence. When you look at countries like Central African Republic, people are tired. Congo, people are tired. And it is because all this close relationship or all these pretense that have been coming from Paris to these Francophone African countries has never had any positive yield for the people of Africa. It has been all about, ripping off of African resources and putting to leadership people or leaders, crooked leaders, who can only serve the French interests. So when we talk about the French in Africa or France's influence in Africa, it brings all the bad memories to the African people, memories of their resources being stolen, memories of their money power being stolen. And it's good that Dr. Matswanga has used the analogy of the French football team. That really shows you, Miriam, that much of the resources that will have enabled even the African continent to form a better or a super football team to compete fair.
Okay. Seem to be having a bit of a technical hitch there from
or maybe exported to France. And that is why
Songo, you seem to be having a problem with your connection. Can you
play in better clubs. So therefore, sorry about that. Let me just join the conversation.
Okay. But I think much of what perhaps you were saying is well in. Doc, I don't know if we have another person there. There seems to be an extra person. I don't know if you can see the person from your side or we. Okay, back to you, Doc.
Yes, are we there?
Yes.
I don't know whether you are. Hello, as we were on air, Rwanda's team scored 2 goals against Arsenal. So it is even depressing me more. But I am not also a very good fan of Arsenal. So let them kill each other. I don't know. How was the match between Liverpool and Chelsea?
It ended on 0-0.
Yes, that's better. We are men. So thank you very much. First of all, Miriam, the seriousness of this debate today of French operations on the continent of Africa must be seen in the context that today, how many countries where France was a colonizer are stable? You are in the studio, you have the list. Show me any French country which is stable right now as we stand. I can start counting for you. And you tick whether it's stable or not. Senegal. Is it stable? 50-50. Ivory Coast. Cote d'Ivoire. Is it stable? Doesn't it have wounds of a war? Let's go. We are moving very nicely. Burkina Faso. Let somebody count together with me. Is it stable? The army has taken power 3 times. We never know. There is another one, another coup, maybe another captain, another lieutenant, another general. And mark you, the people taking power now are not the senior officers. What does that tell you? There is something which is wrong. Let's move on. Mauritania is also a French territory. They have kept quiet. Mutara, any of you who remembers any president of Mauritania? Mutara. General, there was a president there, a French puppet. Stability in Mauritania is half-half. Remember, Mauritania has black real black Africans, and then we have a mixture. Those in Mauritania go and reach Polisario in Western Sahara. I'm drawing you the map of, look at me, I'm drawing you the map like this. It is here. Let's move. We are coming. Niger. We call it Niger. These days, people have modified the English. Kenyans call it what? Niger. The proper word is Niger. But for us in Uganda, say Niger. Because you can't say Nigeria. You can't say Nigeria. Niger is Nigeria. Tell me, is Niger stable? Chad. These are main territories of the French. The peace process is taking place where? Sorry. The peace process is taking place in Doha, Chad. And then they are paying some rebels. So, Miriam, let me ask you. They are paying some rebels. Qatar has agreed to pay some rebels allowances and pay them to lay down their arms to go home. You do these things every 3 p.m. East African time of your time.
Rebels from where?
From South Libya.
Okay.
Qatar is paying them to return so Egypt has been training this guy. And we have been crying here for African unity. When the president of Chad was killed, Mr. Assisi was the president of African Union. What came in his head for him to allow such things to happen? The answer is very clear. He has taken part of Libya, he's siphoning the oil and selling the oil through the Red Sea. Did you know that? That Egypt occupies southern part of Libya. And Egypt supports General Khalifa Haftar together with the French. You have seen what we have had, what we have today. Tunisia, government off, on, switch out, that stability. In the last 60 years, how much stability have we seen in Tunisia? It was one of the growing economies on the African continent with a very good GDP, good standard of living. Everybody would love to go to Tunisia. Tunis, Carthage, the old buildings of Carthage, where the slave trade, the trans-African Sahara trade, passed and then delivered in Mediterranean port of Tunis, Carthage. Tunis. You have forgotten, boss. Izungumisa na mimi. Wanda is looking now whether it is true or not. Isn't it true? There you are. The professor has it here. Algeria. Miriam, you are taking how many? Because I'm going to ask you how many of them. Is Algeria stable? No, the government is off and on. They want to create, even he said he will never compensate for killing them. 1.5 million Algerians were killed by the French. He has never compensated. This younger kid, a kid in power in Paris, small kid of third, is he now 40 something, eh? He's coming up, he's only growing. And he molests men like our presidents in Africa who are twice older than him go to kneel before this boy. And no, let me die like that. Miriam, please, I have this African pride. Wacha nikufe namna hivyo. Men of 80, 78, they are begging a French president who is just twice the age of the wife, or less the age of the wife. The wife is about 68, like Dr. Matanga. And the people line up. The boy is making statements that can ruin the whole Africa. Algeria. Let's leave that. Let's come now. Let's come. Calm down. Democratic Republic. No, before DRC Congo. Let's arrive, because our time, we have 5 minutes to reach our time target. DRC Congo, leave it. Central African Republic. Niambie, hello, is it stable? It has never been stable since Emperor Jean Bokassa mysteriously was killed, assassinated, and he used to eat people's tongues like Idi Amin. The Emperor of Central African Republic. That country has never seen peace. Yeah. Cameroon, count for me. I'm still going to ask you how many. The operations of the French in Africa. I'm showing Africans who are listening to me, who will keep this clip. And when you find the clip, no, tell me the man has the material. And I'm here. Central African, Cameroon, half of the country is under arms. Amazonia, my friend Akanga has just sent me a message to say we are about to capture Boa. The Amazonians are captured, the Amazonians who speak English versus the French Yaoundé. The Paul Bias who speak French, who want bonjour, allez, à la maison, away, oh, you know. That one is not stable. Gabon, which has a president who cannot walk. Both presidents there don't walk. The one of Cameroon farts in public. Is he not ashamed? His handlers, can they see? Can they tell him, sir, don't go for these meetings, get a prime minister to go? But because he wants to go and get, you know, when you have more money, you want to go and get some package, smaller package invited by Joe Biden. Akupatie ka Christmas. Hii Africa. Wako like Matanga, you know Christmas una lazima uombe. Miriam, allow my daughter. My daughter, we have a problem here. The guy couldn't know where he was. That one is also a French territory. Gabon, the guy cannot walk, but he's seeking another term of office. So how will he walk to the polling station, aided to go and vote? For the sake of what? Fear to go to prison. He has treated other people badly. Let's move on. Now, Democratic Republic of Congo. The biggest gamble of Africa. It has been kept under constant war. East Africa wants to sort it out through the former president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, who is the East African mediation team, the head. The French have gone to create chaos, to tell Congolese to say label Kenyatta as part of this, that mafia, the one buying Congo. You have seen those clips. Miriam, haven't you seen those clips? You haven't seen them.
No, I've just seen them protesting against the East African forces.
No, there is one. There are two clips specifically on President Kenyatta.
Okay, I'll look.
They have targeted them. I will send them to you as soon as now, as we talk. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. He's trying to stabilize Congo, to bring Congo to stability by calling meetings, calling everybody, putting the people down. The French are not happy. And for me, I will not keep quiet from saying it. I'm saying it now. If you think I don't have evidence, try me. Try me and try to harass me. I will tell you the evidence. I will tell the documents. I will tell even intel from the French operatives who are wanting to disrupt the Congolese peace process. And from today onwards, it will be word by word, soil by soil, inch by inch, on ground, on air, in sea. I'll reply voluntarily on behalf of His Excellency, the former president. You attack him on African issues, I attack you. Kenyan issues, no. But on this one, I will attack. I will reply you and put you in a position in African scenario. Mark my words. Yes, because I am now, look, we have to operate. I went to school to study tools of analysis. I got them. Why don't I utilize them, Wanda? I studied conflict resolution. I know what it means to help in a conflict to bring back peace. I have an experience, the vast experience I have. I solved the conflict, which could not be solved by anybody on earth. So if you attack the former president of Kenya, you attack him in Congo, you make hate speech, xenophobic speech against him. Don't think he has no people to also answer you back. We shall answer you back from now. I will answer you back. I'm not seeking me. I don't want anything, but I want Africa, a better Africa for me. He's doing a great job to bring about peace in that region. And someone is paying the Congolese. Someone is paying a Frenchman who cannot even speak proper English to be in France, because I've located where the video came from, in Paris, to start dismembering the peace process of Democratic Republic of Congo. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, Congo is one of the territories that the French policies have not worked properly. This crossover down in Rwanda. Before, as we finish, Miriam, because we passed our normal time, we have passed 3 minutes or 5. We have another 5 minutes, I will be over. In Rwanda, Mr. Kagame was a very bitter opponent of the French. He struck a deal, and Mr. Kagame, on this one also, you let us down. You call yourself a very good Pan-African, but I don't want to expose the deal you did. But you struck a deal, and the French brought you back in your books. You gave your Minister of Foreign Affairs a job, and you have been turned into a satellite system to molest Africa. Nobody talks about it. But I am now telling you frankly, they have turned on the same. You see the confusion they have caused. The French have turned on Mr. Kagame. They say, no, you are the one supporting these guys, M23. is in the catch-22. He says no. They say no, we have evidence. Imagery. Satellite. Si ndio kila kitu mzuri. Rwanda is the best country that has utilized its energy and the brains properly to stabilize after genocide. And I award Mr. Kagame that credit. Give it a credit. But Mr. Kagame should know that Savimbi was the best man used by the Americans on this continent of Africa. If he wanted a plane to fly to US, he would fly in the first class plane, well refueled, up to America and come back. But Savimbi went down like a small rat that has fallen in the water. There is no road of Mr. Savimbi anywhere on platform on planet Earth. Show me one road named Savimbi Road. Burundi, the same. Has it been stable? The French have been in and out. They rescued Mr. Nkurunziza. They came, the general who had wanted to overthrow Nkurunziza. Where is that general? Where is the general? Nyenye mnasema mnajua hii vita. Vita iwezi kuisha kama general huyo aonekane. Where is he? Is somewhere being used by who? By the French to destabilize Congo. Yeah. Why do we hide? Why is Tanzania out of this mess? It kept off. It said, we shall put our troops in the UN contingent. But no, we learned a lesson. Talk to any Tanzanian official whether you want to go in Congo, you'll say, hello, wachana sisi, we are digging our roads. Let's move over. Mozambique, a peaceful territory. The French mishandled it. Total Oil went there. The president of Mozambique, Comrade Nyusi, Erad, signed 2 agreements. This is not a lies. This is not fiction. 2 agreements giving oil contracts to both the America and the Total Oil. They started fighting over it. One of them came out and bought someone to go and rescue them. Umesikia Muriam? You know very well. You have been talking about it. Rwanda troops are in Mozambique. Are they in Mozambique under AU charter? Excuse me? Or EU charter? How can EU come to command us to pay people to be in that territory? What have we done wrong? Where did we go wrong? Why did Africa reach a status of this nature? Walai ya Mungu. Why did we reach this status? Niambie. Mozambique is in turmoil. Across Madagascar, the French, we spent half of the time, Madagascar, until the DJ is now stable, but not stable. Look at the mess. Until myself, Chisano and others who used to fly there beg, I didn't even understand French, but I was interpreting for the English speaking, issuing statements here and writing and telling Chisano, this is how we can broker peace. Sir, I think the other guy was not honest. Sir, let's not carry the former president from South Africa before we check whether we go to Tenerife and find out whether he is able to sit there or not, because he could be killed. Yeah, they could call him and then the following morning a bomb blast in his room. What can we do? He said, Kisano said, you are right, Matanga, let's go fast. You know, Madagascar has never had any peace. Very good, stable, good country. Mauritius is the same. Seychelles, Cape Verde. Look at the islands there. Cape Verde is for the Portuguese, I think so. No, not French on that one. And remind me to say, may the soul of Amir Cabral rest in peace, because he was assassinated on 21st of January in 1973. Amir Cabral went down in a hail of bullets. May his soul rest in peace, because he was fighting for Africa. Conspiracy theory, conspirators arranged for him to be assassinated. The whole of Seychelles, one president is serving 7 years, French. Come to East Africa, we have problems. If you don't give them fuel, if you don't give them oil, they plot for you. They left South Sudan, they said there was no fuel, they never got oil. They came to Kenya, they wanted in Gamia 1, Gamia 2, Gamia 3, Gamia 4. I don't know how many Gamias you have given him. Them, they might spare you. If you don't give them more Gamias, why is it that the Capedo Triangle is now silent? Because the government, your government of Kenya, was very determined to wipe out anybody. So they are quiet now. They went to Somalia. The French wanted a war between Kenya and Somalia over the Indian Ocean oil regions.
Britain was in the middle of that mess.
Yes. And we are lucky we went out of it. Summer oil, who sold the summer oil? Who bought summer oil? Look at that. We could, if Matanga did not wake up to walk into the ICJ and tear that judge, the presiding judge, to pieces, where would we be? There would be a war here. I tore him to pieces through my mouth. I didn't fight him, but I followed his activities in Belgium, where I exposed them to the registrar of the court. The Ogetos came and said, oh, they have done this. I left it to God. Today, there is no war between Somalia and Kenya. In Djibouti, they have maintained one man, one soul, one heart, one brain. One soul, one heart, one brain. Those things change. They are different. One day, you know, the soul is different from the heart. Because the heart can die, but the soul doesn't. The president of Djibouti, you don't touch him. Is Djibouti peaceful? To some extent, yes. But it is under some very terrible subject. So how many countries are those that have counted for you? Miriam?
About 10.
Yes. 10 countries in Africa that have chaos. Where are we? Out of 54. The 44 are divided, relative peace, democracy, fingering watu kidogo, Kampala, there is fingering. A big van comes and stands, you are going with your wife to a nightclub, they say we want the husband, but not you. Oh, yet they are called drones, a drone. Allah, everywhere there is turmoil. In South Sudan, you see journalists being detained. The rest of the African countries are in a shaky crisis. But the French are still hovering over them. They came to Kenya, they said they want to dig Lapset, they abandoned Lapset, Lochiga, up to Lochiga. Lochiga now would be a very big town, isn't it? Boss, how many planes would fly? There would be an airport in Lochiga. And this airport save even public transport. Plane could have a technical problem, and then as we are flying over to Kana, we land in Lochiga because it has Kenya Airways passes through there. Did you know that? That's the path route. Inaingia hapo huko unaangalia Lochiga that way to Kana Airport. You know the planes only pass through where there is visibility of an airport. In case it develops a problem, you can now run to that nearest airport. As the route from Nairobi through Europe, it's all near the airport. You know, airports, 50 miles, 20 miles, enough for the plane to reach with 6 engines to reach on the ground and say we had run out of oxygen within the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, the Africa we want is not the Africa with operations of the French. The Africa we want is the cooperation with the French, not an operation with the French. The Africa we have received all these 60 years in French-speaking countries breaks our hearts. These countries lie at the center of the entire African states, the whole of Sahel region. And when you go to Libya, finally, you find the scar, which is the 11th country, Miriam, the scar of the French. They never colonized Libya, but they dismembered Libya. The signs of Libya having 2 governments in Benghazi and Tripoli worry every African. Therefore, we must call out. And our calling out is not enmity. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Miriam. Tomorrow at night, 9:15 East African time, which is 6:15 Kenyan time. 7:15. 6:15 London time, GMT. We shall have the Twitter space of the struggle for Africa. It will be live on Punchline Africa TV and on Twitter space itself. The topic is it the minerals? Are the problems of Congo minerals, ethnicity, bad leadership, or external influence? That is the basic topic that you can grab from every angle. And Wanda, you know very well that you saw the accolades that some of us received last night from Zimbabweans. They are still sending more because we discussed. And I want to thank Marge for coming up to analyze and widen the scope. We have finished the xenophobia topic. They are quiet because we now know the problem of Zimbabwe undocumented migrants. What do we do with them? So thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice Sunday. Pray that God moves up and we move up all the time. Naomba tafadhali kusema kwa Kiswahili kidogo. Ndugu wangu mapenzi na mama, inashukuru sana kuwaona leo, kukuwa nanyi hapa kwa mtandao kwa masaa 2. Tumeshazungumza mambo mengi inahusu Afrika, lakini Afrika yetu tunapenda iende mbele, isonge mbele na mambo ambayo inahusu Afrika wenyewe, na mambo ambayo inajenga nchi zetu, si mambo ile inavuruga nchi zetu. Afrika isikue hiyo ground ya kupigania watu, nchi ya wabeberu wakuja wapigania hapa. Kwa nini warais wa Afrika wanakubali ile nchi za ng'ambo, ile nchi za wabeberu zikuja hapa Afrika kupigania kwa Afrika yetu? Afrika yetu si Afrika ya Mungu ndiye aliunga hii Afrika, aliweka Afrika pamoja, tukue watu wa Mungu, lakini tuwache mavurugano. Kila nchi ya Afrika yote iko na mavurugano. Unapata mavurugano hapa ya siasa, mavurugano ya uchumi, mavurugano ya kila binadamu anataka akuwe muongozi. Waongozi wanakuwa moja peke yake siku moja na mwaka moja na miaka 5. Kama uongozi, kama unashindwa kwa kura, kama unashinda kwa kura, fanya kazi na wale ulishinda na wale kama wewe uko muongozi. Kwa hivyo Afrika, mkae pamoja. Tunaombea sisi wengine, miaka zetu zinaenda namna Mungu mwenyewe atatuita pale, tuone dunia iko namna gani. Asante sana. Tumeona dunia, tumekaa kwa dunia, tunaona kila kitu yenye naendeka hapa, lakini tunaona kitu moja ndio nasumbua Afrika: muungano, unity. Afrika ina unity. Unity of purpose kwa Afrika imepotea, imeenda very far. Tuna unity. Division zote zenye zinakuja hapa Afrika, tunaona vita kila pali, hakuna kukua pamoja. Asante sana. Kiswahili yangu ndio hiyo itafunzwa, alafu nirudi kuzungumzia nyenye mara ngine. Thank you very much, viewers. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Elvis. Thank you, Daniel. God bless you. See you tomorrow at 11 o'clock East African Standard Time. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa by Africa Child.
Rivers do not drink their own water. Trees do not eat their own fruit. The sun does not shine on itself, and flowers do not spread their fragrance for themselves. Living for others is a rule of nature. We are all born to help each other. No matter how difficult it is, life is good when you are happy, but much better when others are happy because of you.